Best practices. Adopt the following best practices to make sure you get the most bang for your buck from Instagram. Document your efforts. Make sure you write down what you're doing. This way you can have a written record. You can also conduct more experiments. You'd be surprised as to how many awesome ideas you come up with. Unfortunately, if you keep coming back to the same failed idea over and over again, you're basically just chasing your tail. Document your efforts so you can run experiments and then fail quickly. This way, you can weed out bad ideas as soon as possible so you can focus on the ones that actually produce success. Focus on numbers. Don't go with your gut feeling. Focus on what the actual statistics of your results are. Focus on numbers because numbers do not lie. Start with influencers using a slow and low strategy. I know I've said this before in the section about influencers. However, this is so important that it is worth repeating. Contact as many influencers as possible, but pay them a low rate. The ones who take you up on your offer and run your ads will then weed themselves out. How? Well, each ad you run has a custom code or discount code or redemption code. You will be able to see which ones actually produce results. You then come back to those people, pay them more so they can scale up your campaign. They obviously are real and they're credible enough with their followers for them to drive actual sales. Optimize using an elemental approach. I've already discussed this in video 9, but you have to understand that you have to optimize going from element to element. This increases the chances that you won't be chasing your tail. This reduces the chance of repeating the same mistake over and over again. Use an elemental approach so you can increase your ad campaign's overall effectiveness. Continuously optimize all parts of your funnel. Up to this point, you already know how to build a following on Instagram. You also already know how to create content that would not only build up your following, but can also draw attention to your profile page. Your profile page, of course, is where your target link is. When people click your target link, they go outside of Instagram and they go to a page you specify. This is the page where the action takes place. This page can be a consumer guide which qualifies your traffic. People can then click through to a page that's deeper inside your website. Ultimately, they can click on a link to go to the squeeze page for your mailing list. This is the page that recruits people to join your mailing list. You can also promote a sales page using these internal pages. There are just so many ways you can go with this. But regardless of how you plan to convert free or paid traffic on Instagram into paying customers, you need to optimize all parts of this funnel. The funnel starts with your content on Instagram. It gets narrower when people click through to your profile page. From there, it goes to a page on your website. From there, it can either go to an internal page or to a sales page or a squeeze page. Whatever the case may be, you need a very broad top for your funnel, and each smaller part of your funnel needs to be as broad as possible. Why? The more people you have coming in, the higher the total number of people you can convert if you set up your funnel right. And here comes the bad news. It's one thing to say that you're going to have to optimize all parts of your sales funnel. It's another to actually succeed doing them. You see, the biggest challenge here is random optimization. When people get the idea that they need to optimize their sales funnel, they basically would come up with a completely new funnel. They would come up with completely new ads. They would mix and match. And sometimes they succeed, but most of the time, they don't really come up with much of an improvement. Why? They're doing it in a random way. Make no mistake, random optimization is usually a waste of time. It really is. Even on the off chance that you were able to make certain random changes and all of a sudden your funnel converts at a higher rate, you're still in the dark. Why? You don't know which part of your funnel accounts for the improvement. And even if you are able to see which parts account for the difference, you don't know which segment of that part improved your results. Do you see how this works? Do you see why this is so confusing and so frustrating? Use elemental optimization. Thankfully, there is a better way to do optimization. You can use elemental optimization. Instead of just taking random guesses as to what would turbocharge the results of your sales funnel, you break up each part of the sales funnel process into elements and you make changes on an element-to-element basis. This way, you will only move on to the next element once you have improved the results of the previous element to a certain degree. Once you're happy with those improvements, then you move on to the next element, and then the next element after that. Please understand that the sales funnel is made up of many different parts. Each of these have different elements, but they can all be broken down into some common elements. The sales funnel, of course, involves the photos that you use on Instagram. your profile page, your consumer article or landing page article, and then your internal pages. Each of these have to be optimized, and each of these have separate elements within them. For this video, I'm just going to focus on the elements that can be found on Instagram. You can use the same element-by-element analysis to optimize your squeeze page, your consumer guide page, and other elements on your own website. But as far as this training is concerned, we're just going to focus on the elements found on Instagram. Key elements to keep in mind. When optimizing, here are the elements that you should focus on. Profile URL. This is the profile page that you have on Instagram. You can change the picture, you can change the description, but just make sure that when you make changes, you go element by element. This means you can swap out pictures until you get a nice improvement. Once the improvement is sustainable, you then change the text. See if it improves your click-through rate. Once you are able to do that, then you can change the landing page URL. Photos and videos. This should be obvious. These are the photos and videos that you post. Pay attention to engagement levels. Pay attention to click-through. If you notice that certain photos tend to get a lot more clicks, then post more of those photos. Keep posting similar photos until you can reach a sustainable high level of click-throughs. Hashtags. Keep switching around hashtags to see if there is any marked improvement in your click-through and your conversions. After you've reversed engineered your competitors, you should have a starting point. But don't end there. Keep playing around with the hashtags, customize the hashtags, and research related hashtags to see if you can get better results. Description. This is the text that you post along with your photos or videos. Post the same picture but play around with different descriptions. See if these different calls to action lead to greater click-throughs and eventually greater conversions. Posting time. If you're using software to post on Instagram, take note of when your content is posted. Pay attention to when most of your engagement takes place. Try to line up your posting time with engagement levels to optimize the effectiveness of your content. What to look for. When optimizing, you should look for the following. These indicate success. Look for increased click-through rate, increased dwell time, deeper clicks inside your website, and better conversion rates. Of course, we all know that at the end of the day, conversion is what matters the most. In fact, it's the only thing that matters. How come? Conversions puts dollars in your pockets and nothing else. However, to get there, you have to increase click-through rates. You also have to see if the page that you are presenting to people you draw from Instagram holds their attention for a longer time. You can keep optimizing that page to maximize dwell time. Also, pay attention to your initial content on your own website to see if you can optimize it so you can get deeper clicks. The more internal pages, the more the person views, the more interested that person is in whatever it is you have to offer. Ultimately, if you take care of these in an element-by-element basis, you can increase conversion rates. Pay and interact with niche-specific Instagram influencers. Please understand that persona is the name of the game in Instagram. People follow personas. They're not following just because somebody has nice pictures. Most people can do that. Most people can manage to post nice pictures every once in a while. Instead, they're following personas because they have a distinct spin on whatever niche they're in. They have a distinct personality. They have a distinct point of view. Whatever the case may be, it has elements of some sort of cult. By cult, I'm not using that phrase in a negative way. Instead, people are looking for just a specialized knowledge from people who specialize in that type of information. There's a little bit of a cult dynamic going on here. When you have that kind of relationship with your following, they are more likely to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're more likely to click on the profile links of people you're giving a shout out to. That's real influence. And that's how a lot of products are sold on Instagram. For example, if you follow somebody who you can count on to publish the very best pictures on luxury watches that he or she actually wears, chances are you would sit up and pay attention when this person posts a picture of a really nice-looking big brand watch with the message 40% off on it. That would get your attention. You would then click on the link of the account that the person is shouting out to, or you can even type in the domain name or URL they mention and type in your discount code. That's how influence works. It's all about this cult of personality. Beware of fake influencers. Unfortunately, when word came out that online stores were paying good money to Instagram influencers for product placements and shoutouts, a lot of shady marketers started building fake accounts. Just how fake are these accounts? Well, First of all, they target certain niches. Next, they draw followers. The problem here is that the account itself is fake and the followers are fake. This is a serious problem because if you paid the person behind these accounts real money to post shoutouts, your shoutouts are going to fall on deaf ears. Nobody's going to pay attention. Why? Most of their followers are fake. They're driven by software. They don't exist. They definitely don't have credit cards. Do you see how much of a headache this could be? It is no surprise that a lot of big global brands are now stepping away from Instagram influencers because they're getting tired of being faked out. Real influence means real engagement. So how do you make sure that you pay and interact only with real niche-specific Instagram influencers? Well, it's actually not all that hard. You only need to look at the public statistics of these accounts. You can see the amount of engagement their content gets. You can also see how many followers they have. You need to measure the total amount of engagements they get by dividing that number by the number of followers they have. Look for a ratio. This is how you would know if there is enough engagement with that account. This is a way of seeing who's fake and who's not. You can also look at the content that they post. If they keep posting the same stuff over and over again, that might be a red flag. Also, look at the comments. Is there actual care taken in sharing? The 4 key signs of fake influence. So how do you know that you're dealing with a real influencer? After all, real influence means actual conversions. There are 4 telltale signs of fake Instagram influence. Sign number 1, equal following and follower ratio. If you notice that an account follows a lot of other accounts while enjoying a large following, this should be a red flag. Chances are they just followed a lot of accounts, so these other accounts would follow them back. Those people may be real, but they're not interested in what this account is posting because they're just following back out of courtesy. That's fake influence. Sign number 2, low engagement ratio. If you notice that this account posts a lot of content, but the engagement ratio is low, this is a red flag. If your account has real followers, there should be a certain level of engagement. It's not like all your posts are going to suck. If you notice that this account doesn't really get that much engagement, that should be a red flag. Sign number 3, they obviously ask for money. If it's obvious from the profile description of the niche-specific account you're trying to buy shoutouts from that they take payments, you might want to pay attention. Look at how they describe themselves. If they make a big deal out of the fact that they're selling shoutouts or they want you to get in touch with them so you can take out an ad, be very suspicious. The very best influencers on Instagram are those who are hobbyists. These are people who are just very passionate about a particular topic. They don't really care about getting paid. They just eat, sleep, and live the topic. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's women's fashion. Maybe it's luxury watches. Maybe it's sports cars. Whatever the case may be, they are hobbyists. They are passionate about that topic, so they post picture after picture of that topic. Those are the people you should gun for. Be very suspicious of people who are all about the dollars because there's a strong chance that they put up their account just so they can get shoutout and other influencer ad revenue. I'm not saying that this should completely disqualify them, but there's a higher incentive for them to fake stuff because there's money on the line. Sign number 4, no niche specialization. If it turns out that this influencer account tends to rotate among different niches, this should be a red flag to you. What this person is doing is that he or she is trying to get the attention of advertisers from different product niches that they know advertisers normally target. This person doesn't really have a focus. Even in the off chance that this account is real, I can bet you that the traffic that this person gets is probably close to worthless. Start with a slow and low buy. The first thing that you need to do is to get a massive list of influencers out there and then contact them. Now, I'm assuming that you have filtered out fake accounts. Contact them. The name of the game here is volume. Try to get as many different influencers as you can and contact them. Ask them, can I buy for $5? Or whatever low rate you can come up with. The name of the game here is to get as many shoutouts and picture ad placements for as little money as possible. The next step is to track these campaigns and see which, if any, of those influencers can deliver real results. You should be able to come up with a top 3. If you, for example, have 100 influencers running your ads and doing shoutouts, you should be able to identify the top 3 in terms of conversions. You own your online store, so you know whether you sold or not. You know whether you moved a product or not. You should also use specialized discount codes so you can track who is actually selling. Pick the top 3 and pay them more for exposure. This is how you maximize your results. So, you start out low and slow, and then you scale up the campaigns that actually produce the desired result. Use Facebook's ad retargeting system to pull Instagram users deeper into your funnel. This is my secret weapon when it comes to Instagram. Make no mistake, if you followed all the steps above and you used a multi-page strategy to build up your mailing list, you will achieve some level of success. However, if you want to turbocharge your results, you need to deploy Facebook's ad retargeting system. How does ad retargeting work? When you retarget ads using Facebook, you first install Facebook's Pixel on your website. You then go about promoting on Facebook and Instagram. And when people find themselves on your site after clicking on a profile link, the Pixel keeps track of where they landed. Now that the system knows which Instagram or Facebook users ended up on your site, you can take out a retargeting ad. This ad can promote a deeper page, or it can promote your mailing list directly. Whatever the case may be, when people who have visited your site go back to Facebook or Instagram, they start seeing your ads. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. You're essentially reminding them to come back. When they click, they can go to a deeper page so you can build more credibility, or you can even direct them to buy a product. That's right, they go to a sales page. Regardless of how you do it, retargeting works. In fact, according to some estimates, it can boost conversions by 40%. The bottom line is that you use content to draw truly interested people. They wouldn't be clicking the content if they were not interested. But you have to set up your retargeting in such a way that only people who go past the initial page of your website are retargeted. For example, you run a free Instagram marketing campaign. You post reverse-engineered content on your account to build up a following. Enough people like your content so they click on your profile page and they see a link to a really useful article. They click through and they end up on an article, and Facebook Pixel is paying attention to them. However, you're not going to be retargeting those people. That's still too shallow. When they click through because they liked your particular solution and they want to know more about that solution, they end up on a solutions page. This may be a sales page, or this can also be another consumer guide page. Whatever the case may be, they have gotten deeper into the guts of your website. These are the people you should retarget because these are the people who have demonstrated real interest. People who are just curiosity seekers would just end up on a shallow page. They would begin there and they would end there. People who are really looking for a solution would click page after page on your website. Those are the people who are more likely to convert.